Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 3 of the Live Your Life podcast, where we discuss songs, their meanings, and just other inspirational stuff about life. So today's episode is about my song Live Your Life, which this podcast is named after. And I actually wrote this song at the end of a day of work where I found myself kind of reflecting, almost overthinking the day, though. And it's something that for me, I'm a very analytical person. And I will go back on things and overanalyze things that can't be changed, and also look into the future a bit too much sometimes. And the song Live Your Life is really about living in the present. And of course, there's many philosophers, many different authors out there who talk about really the only place that you are alive is in the present moment. But I think it's really hard in a lot of cases with our achievement-based society and goal setting to really live in the present, as well as the judgment, right? Judging yourself against others to try to gauge where you're at, instead of just judging where maybe you were yesterday and not really having a good scope of where you should be. But not should as in a sense of kind of attainment, but in terms of, I think, a presentness it within the moment. So I remember writing the chorus. The chorus kind of came to me pretty quickly. One of my friends actually, a lot of times would say something similar to like, just live your life and just let things be. So I'm actually going to play the song and then we'll talk about it a little bit. I woke up just the other day, my life seems to just pass away. What do I do? What do I say? Slow down, slow down. Slow down, slow down. Live your life. Live your life. Always wondering about what's next, what the meaning of life is. The gift is now. That's why it's called the present. All you gotta do is get lost in it. Live your life. Live your life. Live your life. Live your life. I'm alive, I'm free. I'm alive, I'm free. Yeah, yeah. Oh. live your life. Live your life. I woke up just the other day. My life seems to just pass away. All right. So, yeah, that whole song is really about focusing on the present moment, not thinking about what's next or what the meaning of life is, but realizing that the meaning and that everything is just in the present moment. And that's something I enjoy playing that song because it's always a good reminder and snaps me back into the present moment. Music does that for me as well, just playing. And really, that song, no matter what it may be that you love to do in life, or that gets you in the present moment, really in the zone, to do more of it, and to follow that path, to have those conversations with people. And I think even within that, myself within music, and I know that people, no matter what they're doing in life, like the feelings of unworthiness, or you're not good enough to share your thoughts or perspectives, or really to even live in the moment, because how could you live in the moment if you haven't achieved this yet, or whatever the next thing is. It's really realizing all that there is the present moment. That's the only moment that you have any power. It's the only moment where you have control over the reality that you choose to see. And really, every moment is a new lifetime in a way, almost. Of course, your life's made up of years, years made up of days, days of hours, hours of minutes, minutes of seconds. But if you look at it from that perspective, that drilled it down almost, you're able to appreciate really an appreciation, again, really only something in the moment. And I know a very big aspect of living a fulfilling life from a lot of different authors and things would be to say, have gratitude. And gratitude is one of those things where you can only really cultivate it in the moment or feel any emotion within a moment. So I think it's kind of reflected again there within the lyrics of Live Your Life. And it's definitely, songwriting for me isn't, I don't feel like I'm just coming up with these words or these chords or any aspect of these songs. It's odd, but I know a lot of other artists would talk about it and say that it's kind of like you're almost like channeling God or the universe or whatever you may believe in, but that's kind of coming through you. So you don't feel like it's even necessarily you coming up with those songs or the chords or notes. But I know that's also another aspect of anytime anybody's maybe very good at something, or anytime they're in like a flow state, you don't feel like you're necessarily putting in the effort to share that message or share that idea or that product or whatever it is. It just kind of naturally flows through you. And I think that's something even like, so you're making a podcast. I don't have a script or of course there's maybe ideas. I kind of just started with song idea, like for each episode, and then talk about how I could maybe interpret that differently. And I think that's really the power of songs for people that may not be musicians or artists. A song may just be, of course, again, something kind of to snap you in the present moment or just enjoy, or kind of a soundtrack to a day almost. But when you kind of dissect different lyrics or different meanings, I think there's a richness to that makes it much more expansive than just 3.5 or 4 minutes or whatever the length of a song is. And even the lyrics, because of course you could go into kind of a songwriter's mindset during that, or or an artist's mindset or a band or whoever. But even it actually, I look back to college. I was in a business group called Enactus, and many colleges around the country have these groups. I'm not sure if it may be international as well. I'm not 100% sure. But it's kind of a social entrepreneurship group within different colleges, but it's a large organization with different branches. And we were at an art gallery, and a lot of my friends were looking at art on the wall. I think it was like palette paintings or something. And they were like, "Oh, I could do that." And I just remember thinking like, "Yeah, fine, yeah, go do that." But really having a kind of a deeper appreciation for that, and not necessarily thinking like, "Oh, it's abstract. Anybody could do that." I think life isn't about this skill to do something, but the emotion that's behind it and the story that's behind it, and not of the comparing behind it, because as we all know, comparison is the thief of all joy. And I think really that's within any aspect of life, not just art, not business, whatever it is. There's always a better somebody out there at a specific thing, or I guess you could find it in ways. I mean, of course, there's the best at certain things, but in terms of living a happy life, realizing that there's always going to be the different opinions and judgments of others. But I have an odd kind of theory lately that anytime you're going to kind of define something in the past and say, this is this, and really anything, you yourself are not living in the moment. You're judging something in the past, and it's really stealing joy out of the potential joy out of the current moment. So whether that's an athlete thinking they aren't as good as somebody else, or an artist thinking it's not as good of art, everything is really in the eye of the beholder, and of how you view the world. So of course, there's a famous quote. I forget if it's Wayne Dyer. I'm not 100% sure. But if you think in positive terms, you get positive outcomes. If you think in negative terms, you'll get negative outcomes. Actually, I think that might be Earl Nightingale. But it's so true, because your thoughts are creating your reality always. Because your past perceptions of things, how you think about those things, will then be how you judge situations or similar substance, or I guess other things in the future. You're always going to be basing it off of a past paradigm that you've created in your mind of, this is how this should be, this is how this should be. And again, not living in the present moment, because you're always basing your current reality off of your past perception. And there's a really interesting masterclass that I think I'm like halfway through, but with Michael Beckwith and Vishen Lakhiani. It's a Mind Valley masterclass. But Michael Beckwith talks about surrendering to just the high vibrations of joy and love, and your life will fall into that as you move forward. And it's so interesting to me, because I think especially now with uncertainty, of course there's always uncertainty, but in a very goal-based society of looking at where you want to go and saying, this is exactly where I need to go, and this is what needs to happen along the way, you're robbing any other potential that maybe will be better for you along the way. And within that, along those courses, trying to get to that same outcome. However, if you look at it on the flip side and look at it just staying in a positive vibration of joy and love and peace, the right things fall into place that align with the joy, love, and the peace. And I think even as I'm talking about it, it's very hard for me to kind of grasp, but it's making sense as I'm kind of rambling on it a little bit. Because if you're not always measuring yourself, then you can enjoy the moment. If you're not always looking back and measuring, then you're giving yourself permission to be in the moment. That's such a weird concept in our material world. I think in terms of, if you look at things around you, how your life is, of course, there's many different spiritual teachers that would kind of speak in that term, maybe like Eckhart Tolle or Wayne Dyer or Michael Beckwith. But a much more expansive viewpoint to just stay in enjoyment and bliss and joy and love and peace, and really, I guess in a way, shun out that which isn't that, because you won't be receptive to the other stuff if you're living in terms of those emotions. You almost in a way shield yourself, because it's almost like oil and water don't mix. It's not of the same substance, and it's not of the same ideology. And I think now more than ever is almost a time for us to vastly look at things differently. Because if you judge things now, how things were a year ago, of course nothing looks the same, and there's uproar and everything of that nature. But even uproar within yourself, because that what you see outside is what you see inside, or it would be a reflection of that. And I just think that that's a very tough way to go through life, to live a long life, because the stress would be higher in your life then if you're measuring against past, and looking at that, unless you're kind of staying in that floaty around, I don't know if that's a word, floaty, but sort of headspace of those joy, peace, love emotions. And I think in a sense you could say it's not realistic, but if you look at anything that becomes reality, is not reality at the time when it was thought of or when it was coming into form. If you look at the iPhone, that wasn't reality, so how could an iPhone become? Or if you look at the 4-minute mile, that wasn't reality, so how could that happen? Or you look at the car, that wasn't reality at that point, so how would a car happen? It's not about only looking at what's realistic, because if you only look at the reality that's around you, you'll never be able to create anything different than that. And if you're not able to create anything different than that, then it's just the same over and over and over and over. And when you're in those higher vibration emotions and feelings, then a lot of the other stuff falls to the wayside, and a new, better can be created. But again, focusing on those emotions, not the objects that get you to those emotions or the people that might get you to those emotions, being those emotions first and then those other things following. And whether that be a career, whether that be a house, whether that be a car, whether that be a partner in life, it's really just along the laws of vibration. And if you're of those higher vibrations, then your life around you will change to match those. And I know that's a very, I don't know necessarily if it's an odd concept. I know something Joe Dispenza says a lot is people want to use matter to change matter. But when you use the field, when you change the field, matter has to change. So the field, that being the quantum field that reacts to your emotions and the vibration that you're at. And doing those things that get you in the moment, that make you happy, and focusing predominantly on those things that do that. It's not about just making a little bit of time for art or painting or music or sports. It's putting those things that make you in the present moment and bring you joy at the forefront, and then building your life around that, I think. Because again, your reality is created by the vibration that you're emitting and living in. And if you're able to control that and surrender to those, then everything around you will become that. And I think that's just physics. I think that's just, I think it's scientifically proven that those are almost certainties, more so than that, oh, today's going to be like yesterday, or the next minute's going to be like the last minute. Everything is always in flux, and you always have the ability to create the reality that you want based on what you're emitting from you. And whether that's from an aspect of belief that we're infinite souls having a human experience, or that we're just physical beings, or that we're just spiritual beings, whatever that aspect is, there is that realization of you have the ability to change. And if you have the ability to change anything, you can change everything, because everything is connected. And it's all just vibration. The wall is not solid. The wall is vibrating very quickly, and you can't perceive it with your human senses, but you can with a microscope. Just like radio waves are invisible, but you could see them through different lenses than our human senses again. Of course, we can hear radio waves. But really looking at it from that aspect of focusing on live your life, but then how do you want to live your life, and looking at that from an emotional place and not necessarily a material place around you in order to drive you to things, but for those things to flow to you through those emotions of peace, love, joy, those higher vibrations that in turn yield a better reality around you. And if you're able to do that, then you're able to have really a beautiful life. And I guess, again, they're defining what a beautiful life is, but in a way, whatever that means to you. But just in terms of those emotions that you're emitting, and how you're able to control your emotions through whether it be meditating or just focusing happy thoughts, or listening to binaural beats for happiness, which release dopamine and serotonin and whatever that may be for you, getting into tune with that in order to create the life that you desire, and surrendering first to those emotions, and whatever creator you may believe in, or none, or just nature, but in order to tap into that flow of the goodness and of the positivity, especially in times like we're in, to be able to stay above the fray, and be able to be the light in darkness. Because without focusing on yourself and your well-being, you will not be able to. And I know that's a very hard aspect to grasp sometimes. That, of course, you need to help others. But again, if you're having happy thoughts and you're helping somebody, well, will you help them better than if you're being negative? Yes, of course, because you'll be able to have a much broader capacity. So with that, that wraps up episode 3. Live your life, live in the moment, live with peace, love, and joy in your heart. Surrender to those things, and live how you want to and with what you want to manifest in your life through surrendering to those emotions. So peace and much love to everybody. I will catch you in the next episode. Bye-bye.